Hello newcomers and newbies, my name is Dexterly and welcome to my channel. Not too long ago, a fan of the channel known as Thay reached out to me to do an art trade challenge, which by the way, if you have Instagram and you follow me, I do respond to DMs unless you manage to thoroughly creep me out. I'm slow, but I do reply. Anyways, Thay reached out to me for this art trade, which I happily obliged to join in on. I will admit, and Thay knows this, I did not understand the assignment. I thought I did, but upon finishing and talking about the challenge, I realized I was very wrong in my understandings. So, to Thay, I am very sorry. In my defense, I didn't know this was an art trend artists were doing, so honestly I thought Thay came up with it on her own, and so I think that's why I wasn't registering that this was even a thing with its own pre-established rules. Oh well, we did some really fun art anyways, and I had a great time even though I had no idea what I was doing. So the actual challenge is for each of us to make a Pinterest board based on a pre-existing character without explicitly stating who the character is within those pins. Then we trade and draw an OC based on the board we get. Then at the end, we explain who the character was that inspired the board. The way I understood this was we make OCs based off Pinterest boards. I left out the character part. I didn't see that, I didn't understand that, and that was on me. So while Thay was making a particular board based on a particular character, I was just slapping pins together to inspire an OC without a pre-existing character even in my mind. So when I started drawing this OC based on the board Thay made for me, I noticed similarities that made me think of Squidward from SpongeBob, and I was laughing to myself wondering if Thay realized that she did that or not, which obviously now I realize that this was done completely intentionally and I'm a real goober here. Anyways, let's get into what I drew for this challenge since there was no thought behind the board I made other than sage green and fairy-like elements. But of course, before we get into this video, this is your reminder to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy me, my art, or my commentary, or perhaps all of that. And obviously subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content. In the meantime, check out my link tree in the iCard above and the description below to check out all of my other socials, including my Ko-Fi, where you can support my art and my journey through one-time donations, commissions, and through my shop where I have stickers, keychains, and pins that are in the making. Now, enough of that, let's get back into the video. So, obviously I picked up on the ocean and beach themes along with the creative side of this soon-to-be character. I honestly was getting like an edgy teen beach vibe, but I didn't want to make like a negative type character, so I just made the character more reserved, although I'm not sure I really reflected that in the design aside from the intentional addition of the off-the-shoulder hoodie and long shorts. I kinda got the blue hoodie idea from the Barbie Mermaid Tale movie, and after thinking about it, I realized a lot of surfer female characters wear these lightweight blue hoodies, so it ended up working out in my favor with that stereotype. I also wanted this character to be warm-toned in the skin since, well, she lives by the beach, and with that detail in mind, I also made sure to adorn this character in seashell jewelry since I find it really cute and it just adds to the character overall. I'm not really sure why I went for the short hair. I think I was just vibing with that idea, almost like a manic pixie dream girl that isn't adorned in purple and black for once. I honestly don't like the trope of that type of character with short hair all the time, but in this case I found it acceptable and it brings the overall design of the character together. I did notice the clarinet motif, and since I have never drawn instruments other than guitars and harps, I was not about to try and figure this out right now, so I opted for the thing to be in its case instead. And it actually helped balance the colors better so there wasn't an overpowering golden palette going on. Then I added little paint splotches to the clothes, not to insinuate she's an artist, but to reveal that she doesn't have a single care in the world, and perhaps she just came from painting before running off for work or wherever she's going. Then of course, she's in sandals, and I didn't bother drawing toes since I was not in the mood to do that. By the time this was all done, I was fairly pleased with the design, but I couldn't help feel like something was missing. And while I usually don't like adding this particular feature on mostly human characters, I found it cute in the moment, and now I can't bear to part with it. I added aquatic-themed ears and a big old tail. I didn't want to make this a shark-themed character, so I avoided that being the case and just went for a general aquatic humanoid animal vibe. After all this work, my suspicion that this character board was inspired by Squidward was confirmed to be correct. Honestly, the Moai statue on top of the rest of the pins really sold it for me. But like I mentioned before, I didn't know the challenge, so I gaslit myself into thinking there was no correlation at all. But Thay quickly cleared that up and confirmed my suspicions as correct. This is a Squidward Pinterest board. In the end, the character turned out really cute and I like her a lot. I don't know if I'll ever use her again though, so this might turn into an adopt at some point, which if you're interested in adopting one of my OCs, particularly this one or the ones that are still on my Ko-Fi, speaking of Ko-Fi, DM me on Instagram or follow me on Ko-Fi with notifications on so you don't miss when she goes live. But now that we've seen my OC based on THAY'S board, it's time for you to make your way over to THAY'S video linked in the description or in the iCard above. But until then, here's a little sneak peek of THAY'S OC. Of course, this was probably a bit more difficult for Thay considering there was no character basis from me, but you'll just have to find out how she actually did it from her own video. And until then, be sure to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel as it helps me grow and know that my hard work is worth my time and yours as well. Also, don't forget to find me on these other platforms and to support or just follow me on Ko-Fi. But anyways, that is all I have for you guys today, so thank you all so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.